Welcome back to the Titanium Hanger. This is Mike. Today we'll talk to you about the Yolopark AMK Series Elita 1 model kit. This is not the Pro, so there's no die cast in it. A little bit less on the paint. Almost half the price. And with it, it does carry the Transport 1, will you call it cartoon? Would you call it CGI? Aesthetic. So it does carry that. So it does what it wants to do well. I will say that looking at the box afterwards, because I'm literally filming this as the last thing I do, I'm noticing that the colors don't quite match the color on the box to the figure. And I'm also noticing they're showing vehicle mode. Why would they show the vehicle mode? But anyway, we're going to get into looking at this thing. I'm going to put it together. I'm going to do some comparisons of this to other AMK stuff, to Masterpiece stuff, to other Fembots. So be ready. I did get the Show Z store. I'm going to have a link down below, TH, and support your review. If you want to help the channel out, if you want me to pick up some more of these off-the-wall kind of things that I normally wouldn't look at, then help the channel out, and I will do that. But let's get in taking a look at this. Coming up. Alright, so here is the packaging, and it's kind of interesting. I didn't even expect this, but it has Velcro on it. It opens up. It's got all the parts laid out for you. Looks like it's going to be quite a few parts to put this together. But yeah, packaging, and it kind of shows. This is kind of nice, though, that they show size and scale of all of these, from the uncogged to the cogged and all that good stuff. I've seen a lot of people, when they put these together, just lay all the parts out. It seems like extra work for nothing. I just take the parts out you need as you need them, and they're already laid out properly in here. Instructions are relatively straightforward for this, so let's get into it. I'm going to start with attaching the head, and it seems like the front panel piece is already attached, so it's not going to be a big deal at all. Then we attach the back panel, and then you build an arm, so just connect it. It's not rocket surgery or anything, but got that there. Go ahead and pop the hand on, pop this shoulder cover piece on, and this forearm guard piece on. We've got ourselves an arm. Do the other side, and then we will connect the torso. Easy stuff. She does have these little side pieces that clip to her head. I guess some sort of decorative part for her head. Just snap them on there. They are angled a little strange, but they snap in. The other one snapped in. Building her leg, I'm going to put this piece here to the front, this piece here to the back, putting the foot on. And this is, as they call this, a pre-assembled kit, because you're just assembling parts that have already had some assembly to them. All that's really left now is to assemble the side flaps. Pop them on, which, since this moves so much, maybe I should have popped them on before I put this together, but I'm not really going to have a problem with that. And then, of course, the gun. Put the gun on her. We'll be back. Alright, so here she is, all put together, and gotta say, they never were trying to tout a G1. This is definitely from the movie, and the thing is that she looks pretty good, though, with a little bit kind of cartoony proportions, with the longer legs and shorter torso than you would get with more of a G1 character. But the fact we get her, and only $33 or something like that, not bad. And I want to also say, no die cast that I felt in this figure whatsoever. So surprisingly light compared to the counterparts that we're going to see, but this is not a Pro edition. So that's one of the things you got to keep in mind. These were not made as Pro. They're made at a lower price point. And as the lower price point, they don't have the die cast, probably less paint and those kinds of things. But I don't think she looks bad. I think she does look pretty good for the price, what you get. And the fact that we're probably not going to see an Elita 1 in the Pro, that's why I picked her up. And this day and age, I think these fembots are really popular, but she's definitely not over-sexualized or hyper-sexualized or anything like that. She's definitely from the Transformers 1 source material in the movie. Getting into looking at her closer, she has paint apps on her forehead, her eyes, these side pieces here. Interesting, and we get to articulation, talk more about that. Paint on this chest piece, which was pre-installed. The paint on the torso, the white down there, a little bit of paint right here. This is cast in white, but then I think the side piece is painted. Side was painted. And then down here we have pieces cast in white, and then this here appears to be painted. But really that's about all the accents there are, which it's okay. This is more or less how models are supposed to be. Like the put together model is that each part's its own color and it's accented that way, and that works. But let's see any apps on the back. I'm thinking this might be cast in white and painted that purple, because the purple looks a little bit different. It's a little bit different, but then again, I might be wrong, so it's hard to tell. But the purple does look painted on that, and so does on this piece here. But anyhow, okay looking figure, definitely matches the source material, and they did a good job of that. Looking at articulation, I'm already noticing that the neck moves and the head ball joints. And the head ball joint's really tight, which is fine with me. It's not going to pop off. But then the lower neck moves, and then of course it goes up about to there. It's going to pop off. I'll go much higher than that. Shoulder joint out to not quite the 90. Of course, you have the 360. You have the bicep swivel right here. And then you have movement. This will swivel because it attaches. And then the hands ball jointed, and you just get different hands and the fingers. So you have different hands. We'll go into all the different hands and stuff, but I kind of like this open hand, especially on the female characters, because got a little hand up on that hip, and then they dip, dip, dip. And then we have some torso movement, and the more you move it, the more it kind of frees up, and then you can go back about that far forward. And then you do have waist swivel too on top of it. You are going to run into waist swivel issues with the side skirts that are on there. And then the side skirts are probably going to hinder how far this goes, but it goes pretty far, pretty good range. You can push it in a little bit more too while you got it out there. And then it seems like the more you do that, the looser the hips get. So I wouldn't do that too extreme. You can go forward. It does have a drop down to go forward further and back about that far. So you could get some dynamic range poses out of this figure. You do have is it double jointed knee? Well, if it's not double jointed, it doesn't matter. It goes really far back, so that's pretty decent. And then you do have the thigh swivel based on the fact that it's just a pin connector in there anyway. And then you have side to side, up and down. And you got this whole wheel here turning that, which is cool. Which is actually probably something that almost looks like it's part of a transformation, even though this doesn't transform. And you do need that range to get the right angle for a stance. Yeah, I don't know very many figures that can handle this stance. I think the way they did the ankles, although you do have to manipulate it a bit to get the right angle on them. There's a wide range of angles for these feet. So, heck of a stance, heck of a pose you can pull off of that. For the accessories here, we do have this gun. I believe this is the only hand that's going to be able to hold the gun. And I don't want to say it holds it well or it holds it poorly. It's just, it doesn't, you just have to kind of also utilize the arm when holding it. It's a good idea. It's got a trigger finger in there and everything. But just the way the figure's designed, it keeps butting up against itself. So there's really no good angle to put it naturally. It just seems to kind of butt up against his arm, however you do it. But, you know, you can pull off poses and stuff. It just takes a little bit of working. And it doesn't quite look as natural. So it's just weird because of the gun, the way they made the gun. And it's got that whole closed handle kind of thing, which makes it a challenge. Those are always a challenge for posing. And then, but you can make it work. You can make it work. It's just, the thing is, it is a challenge. Now, getting down here into these hands, you get some fists, and all you're going to see is my fingers and all this, but you got a pointer finger and you got an open hand. So really most of them are literally for the right hand, which makes sense. You want to have the open hand like we have on the left. I have on the left hand here. It's open for putting hand on hip and slapping. So that's what that's for. And then the pointing for giving direction. Say that is where you're going to put all of the energon, and then, of course, the fists. Gotta have fists. Getting into some comparisons, as you can see, not at all in a masterpiece scale, but it's strange that slightly taller than the MPG, almost as if this line is intended to work alongside MPG. Am I right? Well, yeah, I'm always right. All right, so now this is how it scales with the Pro line. And although it's not called the Pro, I do feel like it's intended to scale. So the Cogged, the fully Cogged ones, I feel are intended to more or less scale with this, if you've been keeping up with this. That's how it looks with these guys. I do think they look great. I probably, the more I've had them, probably would have liked the clean set that the good old BBTS is getting, but I don't think those have die cast. These do have the die cast. I mean, I kind of like the Prime the most out of these so far. Aesthetic wise, I like the size and beefiness of the Megatron, but that's how it fits. And then there's one more to squeeze into this. This is a 3-0 Carbot, just so you know, and that's how it scales. Do feel like the Carbot's a little on the short side. The whole line for 3-0s on the shorter side, but they're doing the same thing more or less. Megatron said, gotcha. All right, so getting into this, you might have remembered, if you're paying attention to all of the words that I say, then you notice that I said that she doesn't scale with the Masterpiece. One of the things is that she's taller than some of these options out there. I don't think she's taller than Fans Toys, and definitely not taller than Toy World, but I do feel like these are a little on the short side for an RC. RC should be taller than this, in my opinion. But also notice the difference in aesthetic. So notice down here, their waist comes all the way down to here. Her waist is way up there. So that's the cartoon aesthetic coming through. Could they make an RC? Could they make a very G1 aesthetic RC that's phenomenal, that you'd want to replace these with? Maybe. I mean, I think they could. I definitely think they could. Would it be a Pro for 60? I would definitely be on board with it, because RC is tough. And I want to say this, that, you know, there's the episode of Transformers where Hot Rod has the burden of leadership, and it's called The Burden Hardest to Bear. But the reality is, the burden hardest to bear is a giant, as you can see, a giant RC backpack is actually the biggest, hardest burden to bear to stand up. Come on. Although I do like the aesthetic the most of the main figure for Takara, I think MMC is the most well-rounded figure for transformation look aesthetic, even though it is a bit stylized. But I think that we could get a perfect one with Yolopark AMK Pro Series. All right, so what do I think about this AMK non-Pro Series Elita 1 kit, Take 3? I think that it's a pretty good looking figure overall. They've done a good job with her, but she still has those long legs, short torso, cartoon aesthetics, which is what they were going for, and they nailed it. Would I like a proper Elita 1? Yes. Would I like a proper RC? Yes. Will this go on my Masterpiece display? Actually, yes. It's going to work for me as a Masterpiece Elita 1 representation until I get a true Masterpiece that I want. I know, I believe Fans Hobby made one, but I didn't get in on that one, and I don't think these Fembots really need to be transforming to achieve the aesthetic that they want. It's going to be tough to make them look both good in bot and in the alt mode, but I did get this at Shozi Store. It's $33. I don't know if that's on sale or that's just after. It's normally $35 and then the pre-order discount, but I ordered it outright for $33, and it's a pretty decent figure overall for what you're getting for the price. And the fact that I love this line, I love the AMK Pro Series, even though this is not Pro Series. This is the Cogged one. And yeah, if you want one, pick it up. I'm not getting all of these, by the way. I might get one more, but I am more towards the G1 side of things, as you know. But let me know what you think in the comments below. Like and subscribe. TH in the reviewer code to help channel out. Titanium Hanger out. Pro Series Elita 1 kit. More excited about the opportunity to possibly get an RC. Burden hardest to bear, but the reality is the burden hardest to bear is a giant, as you can see, a giant RC backpack.